Hey everybody, it's Casual Poops coming at you with another video, and today we're going to cover another brand new tank, this Progetto C46 Mod 71 Bisonte, which I think is Italian for bison? I don't know. Anyways, I'm going to call it the bison just for ease of everything. Yeah, right away we'll get right into the stats here. So first I want to compare it to the Defender, and for reasons I'll show you here shortly. So the penetration standard rounds is 218 millimeters, which is fine. All this stuff you can see on Tanks.gg, so I won't spend too much time reading it to you. But the things I really want to highlight, the 3-second interclip, you notice that it's just a tad on the long side in my opinion. Other than that, the biggest thing I want to cover here is the gun handling and the mobility. So the gun handling, this is why I chose this as a comparison. The gun handles worse than a Defender. So the Defender is kind of renowned for its terrible gun handling, and this is demonstratively or substantially worse. Yeah, the comparison here is if it, I think it's 20%-ish, 20% worse, 10% worse, substantially worse. The gun feels potato. I'll say it like that, and then you do get 10 degrees of gun depression. That's nice. The other thing is the mobility. These statistics would make you believe that the Progetto, the Bisonte, is faster because of the 50 kilometer per hour forward speed over the Defender's 35, and these are max speeds. I can tell you with certainty that they are about the same in practice. Unless you're like rolling down a hill or something like that. The Defender and the Bisonte are about the same speed, rolling on flat ground and everything else. So going down a hill, this one might get up to 50, maybe, I guess, but it doesn't normally do that on a regular basis. So there's that. Yeah, that's the one thing I wanted to use as a comparison, just to show you guys. And I tried it with a turbo. It didn't really make any substantial difference. It's kind of I won't say it's slow. It's a pretty standard heavy tank speed, very maybe slightly faster than Defender, but it's about that fast. They're about a standard heavy tank speed, and a turbo doesn't change that. So, but this is what I especially wanted to cover, is the gun handling is awful. So having said that, we'll get into the other stuff about it. The view range is not awesome. The crew layouts, I don't know if this is good or not, because we don't have any other Italian heavy tanks to base this off of, but it's a 4-man crew. Yeah, I guess, equipment wise, real quick, again, I can't just talk anymore about how the gun handling is awful. The gun is potatoes. And so because of that, I used vents and a vertical stabilizer and a rotation mechanism just to get this, and in a vents directive and food. I did everything I possibly could to get this thing to behave as well as possible. I had a crew with brothers in arms, and so this is what I would recommend, that equipment, because otherwise it's just unplayable. Like, the gun is very derpy. Also, something about the gun here, and I'll talk about this now so we're not doing it during the replays. This is not your standard auto reloader. I guess, the Italian mediums have the auto reloading mechanic, where if you're on your last round, if you have 3 rounds in the clip and you're on your deep reload, you're all the way out, it's 16 seconds and then 14 for the next one, and then almost 12 for the next one. Well, this, and if you have 2 rounds in the clip, you can still shoot. That's the big difference between this and a standard auto loader, a full clip. So the difference between this auto reloader and the mediums is it has the compensation mechanic that you may have seen in some other videos floating around. Except these, I'm not sure if this is how the tier 10s are going to work, or if this is just how this tank works, but the main difference here is if you shoot within 2 seconds of having your last round loaded, so you have 2 in the clip, you're almost ready to have your full mag, and you have to shoot anyways, just because you're so close to being loaded, but somebody's around the corner and they're about to kill you. You have 2 seconds left. That's that grace period where if you shoot, normally your next reload would, you'd be down to your last shell, and so you would have 14.5 seconds or whatever it is. That reload is then cut in half, so it's 7-ish seconds, and that's a pretty substantial bonus. So then, assuming that you can wait, then you have the 1 round in the clip, 7 more seconds, and then you got 2 again. So that is if you're able to play around that is a pretty substantial bonus. That might be worth, shooting your one, shooting your one, and then waiting, and then shooting the second one. I don't know. There's math I'm sure people are going to do to figure out the most efficient way to use that mechanic in a way to get the rounds out as quick as they possibly can. And I'm not smart enough to do that right now, and I'm not going to do that right now. So whatever. Anyways, as far as the armor, again, you can see all this on Tanks GG if you want to play around with it, but the long and the short version is the armor is pretty okay when you're using gun depression. It has this spaced armor. You know, why don't I turn back to the visual model? It has kind of like the Super Conqueror has this spaced armor on the hull, on the top of the hull, not around these lights, that's worth noting, and not on the lower plate, which is weak. And then it has it kind of all over this turret, but not all of the turret. You see, it doesn't have it here on the top here. And then also this mantlet has some of this spaced armor too. I checked this with some testing and so on, and if you have like a Borsig 15mm heat round, like 330 millimeters of heat pen, you are still going through this. So the spaced armor is nice and it's neat and it's great when you're using some gun depression, but if someone has a high pen heat round and like tier 10s are shooting you, you are going to have a bad time regardless. So I just want to bring that up. Now, having said that, the armor overall I found to be fairly good for a tier 8. You know, I tested it out where I had tier 10 shooting me, like an IS-4 was shooting me, and I was using all the gun depression, and they were able to consistently with standard rounds get through. And this let me switch to it. Compare. And show you what I'm talking about here. So standard rounds from an IS-4, a tier 10 heavy tank, when you're using all the gun depression, still have a pretty good chance of getting through here if they hit you in the cheeks, right? So the mantlet is pretty okay, but if they hit you in the cheeks, you are 50-50, right? So this is something where I found the armor to be okay, and against 6s and 7s and 8s it works great, and against 9s it depends on what's shooting at you, and against 10s you're still just a tier 8, so maybe you shouldn't try your luck. So that I think is pretty balanced armor wise. Also, if someone is shooting heat and you're thinking, I have spaced armor, this is all great, yeah, it's still not. I mean, you can see this, look at this, it goes, this is easy to cheese. Also, because of the shape of this mantlet bit, I just wanted to highlight this because I found this out the hard way. If you're using your gun depression, this actually flattens out the part. You see how this is like a beak, and if someone's looking at you from where the barrel is, that actually flattens out this part of the mantlet. So if someone is using gun depression, like if you're finding yourself against one of these guys, and you're like, oh, he's hull down, what do I do? First of all, you can still see this little nugget of turret, so that's something to be aware of. But then also, just shoot them right in the mantlet, because this flattens out when they use gun depression. So now you know, right? But yeah, overall, the turret and the armor and so on, I found it to be fine. Like it seemed to be fairly balanced for a tier 8. You can side scrape a little bit, but it's 75 millimeters of side armor and some spaced armor with the tracks and so on. Like, it's fine. It's a tier 8 heavy tank and it behaves that way. So yeah, and I'll just go ahead and jump into the replay now. Alright, so we're going to get right into the game here, and I'm playing in the Bisonte on Fisherman's Bay. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, no, it is Fisherman's Bay, sorry, in a tier 9 game with no artillery. And, I apologize, this is probably like, there's no artillery, so this is going to not be representative necessarily of all your games and so on, but this is what I had, so here I'm going to show what it can do. And I just want to point out real quick, look at the reticle, it's counting down 8, 7, 6, whatever. When it gets to 2, it changes color, it goes white, and that's that, there it is, right there. That's that mechanic I was telling about, the compensation mechanic. So if I were to shoot when that reticle is white, my reload for the shell that I would then be reloading would be cut in half. So that's what I was trying to say before, and hopefully it makes sense. If you use it in the game, you'll see. And here's a round panzer that we're about to eat, and if you ever needed another reason to not buy that tank, there's a good one right there. We just cheese it. And yeah, the flexibility of the auto reloader shows itself once again. But yeah, I just wanted to show, like, look at how fast the thing is moving. It's definitely a heavy tank. This is not a speedy thing. It's not overly fast. The 50 kilometers per hour top speed is, I haven't reached it yet. You've seen it. I've just been moving around here. Like I said, I think no faster than a defender could, right? I mean, I'm not a speed demon here. This thing it's definitely moves like a heavy tank, which is fine, And the Carnarvon and also an ML1 bounce standard rounds off of a turret. I thought for sure I was going to eat some damage there, but it's, you know, I think this is the game when I realized kind of that the turret armor can work and what its kind of limitations are. So in this game, I feel like I could probably reliably rely on my turret armor. But I've had games, like I said, where an IS-4 was shooting at me, and see here I wasn't sure what was going to happen. And just look at how long it takes the gun to lay in. And anyways, I've been cheesed by IS-4s before, so like, I had to test it out and see what it could do. And 8s it's fine, 9 it's okay, and 10s you don't have armor. So I just want to point out the reason I'm picking this replay is because it's not like an ace, it's not like a monster game, but look at how big oh my god, you gotta wait. I can't believe that shot went in. Look at how, like, this feels kind of dirty. Like, you're waiting and waiting and waiting, and I can lay these shells in. I get lucky because the Carnarvon must not have repairs on his crew or something, but he should have been able to get away there, and instead I was able to dump a whole clip. But I just wanted to point out, like, how long it took for the gun to lay in the way that it did. Like, this is not a sniper. This is not an accurate tank. This is something where you're meant to play medium to close range. And again, I also want to say I have food, and I have the V-stab and the rotation mechanism, and my crew is pretty okay. And just look at this. These shots are not, well, they're not happening now because there's a T-44 in my face. But even before, like, you really got to let that gun lay in. Like, that was my biggest complaint playing this thing, is that, like, you cannot snap shots. There were times when I had the full sides of things. Like, I was going to dump a clip in a TS5 in a game, and I just came around a corner, and because I just snapped the shot off, the first one went into the ground, even though it was just because the reticle gets so huge. So that, I think, is the big downside of this tank. The penetration is fine. The armor is okay. Like, everything seems fairly balanced. So, like, it's fairly run-of-the-mill. So I think really what Wargaming did here is they balanced out the fact that... Oh, whiff. They balanced out the fact that you get a really flexible auto reloader with the fact that the gun is really derpy. So that's the drawback, right? And I think overall this thing is probably solid. It's a solid tank. It's not bad, but again, I don't think it's broken. I don't think this is going to be like, oh my god, you have to have this tank or else you're never going to live life with World of Tanks the way you knew it before. Like, it's not a game breaker. I think it's a fine tank if you're okay with just derpy guns, but it's the view range. Like I said, I couldn't, even with food and stuff. My crew didn't have like 4 perks or anything like that, so I couldn't get the view range up super high. But even then, like, you're not going to get it very high. And look at this, aiming. Oh my god, and it missed. You have to yell potato every time you shoot, and then maybe you'll hope that it'll actually make it. So. And then if you get to God forbid you get to the deep reload, you just gotta basically make a cup of tea and come back. But if you have ever played any Italian mediums, this will not be a new thing for you. Once you get down to the deep reload, you got some time to wait before you get to play again. So I think the tank has upsides and downsides, and there's some good stuff. And I didn't mind playing it. I actually like playing things that have some pretty good turret armor. I like playing this more than the 274. But would I rather play this than like a Carnarvon Action X? I don't know. I think that I might like this better. That's kind of a toss-up. So I guess to me that says, like, this has the burst potential, but the Carnarvon has a much more well-behaved gun. So that's kind of the trade-off. But otherwise they play really similarly. Yeah, otherwise, I wanted to show the game, and we're not, the Renegade's the only one left here, and we're not going to get in any more damage here, but it 3,200 damage, and I managed to get some shots that were close and some shots that were far, and I tried to give you guys an idea of what the thing could do, and so here we are. So, anyways, hopefully this helps you decide whether this is something you want. At this point, when I'm making this recording, I don't really know what Wargaming plans to do as far as selling this thing. Whether it's going to be, I don't know, in the advent calendar, or whether it's going to be one of the things that's in the crates. I don't really know at the time of recording this video, but I'm assuming they've given it to us to show you guys. So at some point, you guys are going to be able to buy this probably. So hopefully this video has helped you decide whether you want this or not. Yeah. Alrighty. Well, that's it, and I guess. Yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and be sure to, I guess, like and subscribe and all that stuff that I'm supposed to say. Yeah. All right, thanks. Bye.